You know what I love about this episode? And this is a really different intro to what we've been having so far. But I'm talking to Steven Zinsli. He's a founder who just doesn't stop. He started his first healthcare business at 22. He made tons of mistakes and kept going. He now built Extraordinary. It's a smart payment card that companies give their staff. Instead of just getting a paycheck, employees can use this card for things like health, well-being, and rewards, or even public transport. And so big corporates like ASB, Port of Tauranga are already using his services to take care of their people. So the kicker is in this episode is, if you're wondering why you should watch it, Steven is not playing small. If you want to hear from someone who wants to build a multi-billion-dollar company, this guy has the mindset to do that. And, he talks about funding. How do you get investors? The paradox when it comes to investing. And heaps more, like the wins, the losses, the pains. This is like the ultimate Kiwi founder story. And I'm so proud to bring it to Notes from the Executive podcast. Most people are not going to comment on this because it's way too honest. But if you do, you'll prove you're in the top 1% of founders who actually back themselves. So if you enjoy this episode, please subscribe and I'll see you inside. Quick one. Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. Steven, welcome to the podcast.
So good to be here.
Good to have you. I want to know from you, what is the oven that you were cooked in your childhood that brought you up to be who you are today?
Well, I think if I look back on my upbringing, right, it starts with my parents having kids relatively young. So my dad would have had 3 kids under 6 when he was 26. He was in the military, which meant that he was away a lot, or in the Navy specifically. And my mum, she used to joke around every now and again and say that she was like a part-time solo parent. And I think, with that environment and them being young, there were a couple of economic challenges, which then, through seeing how hard they worked and how they just made things work, you kind of just learn the simple skills, work hard, do the things you say you're going to do, save up so you can get the things that you need. We didn't have like a silver spoon upbringing for sure.
Do you see yourself like them now? Is that what you're saying? You have this entrepreneurial fire thing, the zing in you?
I think that I'm very different from my core family. And I think it's probably because I just wanted more maybe out of life. Like I've always had an interest in businesses. I've always had an interest in making impact and being able to do things like at a larger scale. And I think probably most people that end up going into entrepreneurship and running businesses or trying to build businesses probably have that characteristic, right? In addition to being maybe ignorant enough to think that they actually can do it, because it's pretty hard. What
makes you think that you can do it?
I still don't know the answer to that question.
What is it? What was this mindset going on inside you? That's obviously making you go today, keeping you. You wake up every day, right? So
yeah. Well, I just really want to win. Like I love what we do. I think it's got like a really meaningful purpose to help organizations do more for their employees. I want to be able to build like a really big business that one day when I look back on my life, it's something I can be proud of that's had an impact on a lot of people, both at a customer level, but also when I look internally at the employees that we've been able to support with providing opportunities, salaries, et cetera.
Because by the sound of things, it kind of like almost like sounds like you're like native to, you sound like you're native to business. Like you've already done it before, but you haven't done it before. Because you're straight out of university. Somewhere I read that you started a business and you're like off and running. How do you get that momentum? Like how do you have things clear in your head and the steps, this is what I'm going to do next and that's what I'm going to do next. Especially for people listening going, I'm in that stage right now. I'm just out of university and I want to do that.
I don't know if I had all of the steps, I think back to that business that you're talking about, that healthcare business that I started or worked, me and one other guy built. I definitely didn't know all of the steps, and there were a lot of missteps taken and mistakes. But I think, if you kind of put yourself in the position to be able to have the opportunity to, make those missteps, and as long as they're not critical and either going to harm you or terminate the business, they're all productive learning opportunities, which then the next time that thing comes around, you're less likely to make that same misstep. And then again, you go back to, I started very young, or 22. I had 6 years worth of learnings in that first business before then going into Health Now at that point in time, but then before going into Extraordinary. And lots of lessons that I had learned in that first business have translated, but there's also been a lot of lessons that haven't translated because the first business was brick and mortar, and then this one is technology. And then now, I've had however many, or three and a bit years worth of really, really hard learnings in the tech scene, which have supplemented or now supported me to not make those same mistakes. So I guess answering your question, I would say, as long as you're kind of open to putting yourself in the positions or taking the opportunities where you've got the opportunity to grow, then it's just that first step's the most important thing.
Can I take you back to those days when you first finished university? What was going through your head at the time?
Well, I went and got a job because I needed to obviously earn a living. And then with my business partner. And then I started working this job and realized that it feels like a silly realization, but realized that if you just put in a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, you start earlier, you finish later, you kind of get home and do some auxiliary thinking, you reach out and explore opportunities that others might not explore, that it wasn't that hard to achieve things or get outcomes that others weren't getting. And I think maybe specifically in healthcare, you're not innately taught how to run companies. And so I used to spend a lot of my time supplementing my knowledge base by reading or doing other such things in business books. And so when you start then applying those learnings into the business, I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is it plays through. It does work the way that these texts say it works. And then that's when the opportunity came up to go and buy into that business at a very, very early stage.
So you were thinking a lot about more. You were like, this is a nice job, but I think I'm made to be for more. And you were making use of your time.
And I think as well, at that point in time, I still do really care about the affordability and accessibility of healthcare. When you see that you have functional impact on people's lives, where you're able to make their lives better, it's pretty easy to put in the extra work. And then again, applying or keeping the clinical lens through your own hands, you could only treat so many people. And for me, you would say maybe it's 40 to 80 people. Then you start thinking, how many people can you treat through the hands of others? And you have 2 staff, and then all of a sudden it jumps to 160. Then in our journey, we got up to 120 staff, and you think about how many thousands of people were coming through the clinic every single week that we were able to have a positive impact on. So it was just as much around that social impact and being able to go home at the end of the week and be we did something that was really I've participated in doing something that's really meaningful.
Meaningful, yeah.
Yeah, both directly and indirectly.
So this is your first business?
This is my second business. My second proper business,
Which is Extraordinary.
Yep.
Yeah.
Started as Health Now, and we rebranded to Extraordinary of October of 2024.
Yeah. So let's talk about Extraordinary. How did the idea come about in terms of, I know that there's a lot out there that people can look at and they can read how did it come out with, and, there's a lot of stories out there about the idea. How did you find that product market fit? How did you know that investors will be interested? How did you know that people will be open to the idea that it will work? And even if it didn't work, or didn't know rather, what were the steps that were like, or like testing phases for you? Because entrepreneurs listening to podcasts going, I want to understand how people do that.
Yeah. Again, I didn't know. I had my own personal thesis or hypothesis around what I believed to be true. And again, its initial version of Extraordinary was called Health Now. And we wanted to work out how to make healthcare more affordable and accessible. And in the first evolution of Health Now, we built a buy now, pay later system specifically for healthcare, Afterpay for Health. And we built a minimum viable product. We went around to healthcare businesses and met with hundreds, if not thousands of people to try and tell the story and talk about how we could make healthcare more affordable and increase people's utilization. And it scaled, but frankly, it probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be labeled as a success. But through that experience, we then unlocked the idea that we could get employers to support in funding and facilitating the access to healthcare. So again, that first step, right? This thesis statement didn't pan out. We took the learnings from the market. We pivoted to use, startup language to find a different way to make it work, and then got employers to fund it. And then we had this other really interesting moment when we had employers funding this account. This is all before we had the payment card product that we have now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then so I was, to get to this investor question that you've asked around how did you know investors would invest in it? They didn't. So we had this feature where, that feature, employers would fund this wallet, and then you had to go to a provider, which we had built a relationship with, a two-sided marketplace. And I was sitting in front of a VC who's part of Greysoft, and they looked at me and they were like, this is ridiculous. This is never going to work. There's 250,000 plus health providers in America, and you're trying to tell me that you're going to get every single one of them to sign up to be part of your marketplace? Nah. And I was like, that's really good feedback. I need to work out how to get all of these providers to not need to know who we are, but be forced to accept our methodology of payment. And that's what actually led to the birth of the payment card idea, the controllable payment card. And again, I guess the message here is that thesis statement doesn't pan out. Be agile and adapt, have Darwinism in mind, adapt or die. Make the adaptation, go back to market, get that feedback again. And then once we had the payment card, we then had this moment where it was selling, and we were getting reasonable positive signals from the market that organizations wanted to provide employees with health and well-being allowances where people didn't need to do a reimbursement process. And then they started asking us to do more with the product. They were like, all of our staff have this card. Can you help us to facilitate reward and recognition, other forms of allowances, corporate gifting, so on and so forth? And I guess, again, being close to your customer, acknowledging their needs, adapting the product to meet their needs allows you to do more things, add more value, and then hence the movement from just being a health card to now being a card to manage all extraordinary payments. Has that answered that question?
It's almost like a evolution. What you're saying is, you move from one offering and now to a different offering. So you were trying to get health accessible to everybody. As
V1, correct.
Yeah. I still trying to understand how that worked, and why didn't you? And you clearly abandoned that idea and moved into a whole completely renovated idea. Was that the right move, do you think, in terms of changing into a new idea rather than having two products or two offerings?
Well, we have modules within our product, right? So we haven't completely abandoned health. We still have lots of companies offering health and wellbeing allowances, and continue to sign customers that are adding health and wellbeing allowances to their suite of benefits that they provide through our benefits platform. It's just like, if you're wanting, or how would I word it? For us to be successful and sustainable, we have to have a total accessible market and serviceable, attainable market, which is large enough for us to move through the law of diffusion of innovation without running out of money. And so with respect to the health and wellbeing allowances, there might only be insert number of organizations that are willing to do that gross. Of those gross amount of companies, how many of them are early adopters and how am I going to find them? Whereas when you think about our platform now, where it is has a suite of features that all in their own right add value both to the organization in many different ways and also the intended recipient of the benefit that's being provided, it's a much larger total accessible market, and thus we were able to find many more early adopters, which allowed us to cross the first chasm into the early majority, which is probably where we are now as a business.
And you were talking about you're going to go back to the VC guy who told you it's not going to work, and you're like, oh, this is a great feedback. Were you put off or not? Were you like, okay, why is he saying that? Were you questioning? Were you doubting? Were you
I think
shifting?
Through my journey, I've found that some of the best forms of feedback that I've ever received have been from those moments where you're trying to raise capital, because these people have like a very unemotional relationship with the transaction or with the idea that you're pitching to them, right? And they get to see lots of different presentations. Their whole job is to analyze businesses that are trying to start. And so again, it's not always comfortable. Feedback comes in many different forms, but if you look at the feedback in the right way, you can find the nuggets. And in this instance, right, that feedback point, among many other feedback points, is what's led to the level of I don't know if I would yet call it success, but the level of adoption that we've been able to achieve thus far and has helped us to be able to define the path of what we're going to be into the future.
Could you give me an idea of where you guys are at right now, like scale, number of clients, revenue, and time? Like how long have you been able to do that for and achieve it?
So we're circa 3.5 years into our journey, noting that, you spend a fairly reasonable amount of time building the product. Our first card ever that we had in market was that Health Now card. The first ever Health Now card was in a customer's hand, being outside of the business on the 15th of January 2024. So we're 18 months into our card printing or distributing journey. Our first extraordinary card was in October of last year. We've got 220 plus corporate clients across New Zealand and Australia. Our revenue figures aren't public, so I can't talk about those. And we've got, a large number, 40 plus companies right now that are in contract sent stage that we're waiting to receive contracts back on and work towards implementation within this calendar year.
So in terms of the people that you work with, I mean, we know that it's who you work with that makes or breaks a company. And having a co-founder, someone that you started with. And can you tell me about the anatomy of a good co-founder?
I don't actually have a co-founder.
Really?
Yeah. So
okay.
Sole founder, but I definitely have a team of trusted confidants, both internally and externally, that have been supporting us for a really long time. So if you look at our business now, Andrew Phillips was one of our earliest investors, works internally or quasi-internally as our financial controller. Dave started his journey with us before the Health Now card existed, so he's been with me the whole time. He actually started as an investor in our business as well. He made a personal investment. There's many people. You could go through the whole team. Everyone that's in our team right now has been there for the whole journey of the extraordinary business as it exists today since the rebrand.
And when you first started out, you were by yourself, but
correct.
How did you? It's like a chicken and an egg. You need to grow and have people on your side, but they will cost you money. But at the start, you haven't got that capital. Did you?
My starting experience is slightly different because of the prior business, right? So
Right.
there was cash flow that was able to be utilized from the last company, which allowed us to employ the first 2 staff, being 1 engineer and someone who was like heavily involved as like a jack of all trades.
Right.
And then we raised capital relatively quickly too, from some people that I guess just like saw the opportunity and took the risk on me eventually working it out.
Talk to me about those conversations, because that's interesting. And the start of the your journeys, having those early convos, like how maybe advise people who are in that stage right now, who have got an idea, have got a bit of capital, maybe no capital, and want to start those conversations out, but don't know where to start, who to talk to.
Yeah. I mean, I've reflected on this like a number of times, because people do. It's a question I've been asked a lot, because obviously we've got some relatively quote unquote important people that have participated both economically and from like a support perspective. And I think again in my instance, like I spent a lot of time when I was younger, like trying to earn my stripes and be able to be like smart enough, I guess, or able to communicate with the types of people that I wanted to spend my time with, and finding opportunities and or environments where I could be around them to build that trust. So like when I started my capital journey with Extraordinary or Health Now at that point in time, I came with a bit of a track record, I guess, of the last business and the people that I had supporting us in that, like the health business, a professional services level, at a legal level, lots of different external relationships. They were the first people that I looked to be able to like validate or qualify my hypothesis for this current business. And they were the ones that then...
Who were the type, like if I may ask, who were they? Like friends? How did you meet them? Like how can you have a blueprint for someone who goes, I want to do what you do and learn how to grow those relationships? What did you do to be able to get to that stage?
Yeah, so I joined business groups. Like I was part of this one at BNZ, which would catch up like once a month. I joined other business groups. There was this like entrepreneurial organizations, one specifically, where you're just able to like have more people that in your network, and it's like pay to play for sure, but it pays dividends for a long time after you've kind of paid to participate.
Right.
So investing, I guess the comment here would be like investing in your future self. Then I had professional advisors that we had used again for that last business, whether it be like PwC or others.
You knew those people, or do you?
Well, they were the people that did our tax, and then so I had the relationship with them from that. And then when I wanted to like test ideas, and again, it's pay to play to be able to get their time and their consideration. But if you've got like a partner in one of these firms that's a point of contact for you, that you're able to build an engaged relationship with, like these people every single day are meeting hundreds, well, not every day, not hundreds, but they meet like people every single day. They're dealing with people that you probably want to be speaking to, and like and with respect to like actually trying to get their time, it's extremely valuable. So you've probably got to have a reason for them to want to engage to begin with. But we were a paying client. That paying client relationship led to me being able to ask have other conversations when it was relevant and appropriate, and then from there your network increases. And I think another thing I reflect on frequently is it's like the Steve Jobs story, right? Like he reached out to Bill from HP when he was like extremely young, and he asked him for a bunch of computer parts. And then he got a response, and he then obviously did whatever he did with it, went and worked with HP for a period of time. And I kind of find it funny because, when you apply that story, you then realize that Steve became one of their primary competitors, so classic. But there's the commentary around that story is that if you ask for something and the person says no, you're in the exact same position as if you had never asked. Whereas if you ask for the thing and they say yes, then you've made like a significant step forward. So like, what's the damage of them saying no? And I think like you just have to be willing to make that ask. And so that carries over across like reaching out to people. It carries over to like, I still do a lot of sales outreach, like carries over to that. And it's like, it's all good if people say no, they're busy, it's not relevant. Like you've still like hit their radar, and then at one point in the future, maybe there'll be another opportunity for you to like, another bite of the cherry.
Annoyed by the rejection?
I don't really mind. Like, again, people are busy. Lots of people reach out to me all the time. And if I'm free and available, then I do everything I can to try and like sit the meeting. And if I'm not available, then I let them know that like timing's bad. And that's actually one thing that I try and like always do is that if someone reaches out to me, whether it's a sales outreach or like if it's email and I can tell it's automated, I'm like you're straight in chunk. But if it's like a LinkedIn direct outreach and they've taken the time to make it relevant to me, then I'll do everything I can to both respond and try and find time to like see whether it's possible to spend time with them.
Because we're talking about branding in a previous interview, and you were talking about how important brand building is. Why
is brand building important? Well, brand is the thing that it's that line, right? Your reputation precedes you. Like if you're wanting to reach out to someone, and maybe I'll use another outreach that I made. When you reach out to people and you kind of have a little bit of like, how would I word it? If you reach out to people and you can provide a little bit of validation within the email or to build your brand within that one little snippet of information that they get, they're going to be more likely to actually make a consideration. And so like...
How had you done that?
So like for us or for me, one of our shareholders, another person that's important in the New Zealand scene and has done like amazing work. And when I first reached out to her, one of the key things that I had said in the message was that the ex-CFO of IBM was one of our shareholders. And that's the reason why she was like, oh, okay, so I'll sit the meeting. This cat's obviously like got something here because you've built off that reputational credit. If you look at the way that we kind of post on LinkedIn, I have to travel a lot. I get to meet lots of important people. I spend a lot of time like posting and replying to people's content. Because people will see it and they know that like you're out hustling and you're like doing the thing. And so again, if you like, reach out to them for a sales meeting, they're probably going to know inherently that you're relatively persistent too. So at least if they sit the meeting now, they can stop the 7 follow-ups.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a specific blueprint that you like to share with people who want to get good at brand building? And there's 2 kinds of brands. There's a personal brand and there's your business brand. What you were talking about now is that your personal brand.
Personal brand. Yeah.
How else are you making sure that your personal brand is on point?
Just do the things you say you're going to do and be authentic, right? Like I don't spend a bunch of time thinking about my personal brand, and all honesty, it's like I am what I am and I do the things that I say I'm going to do, and I post about the things that I do, and it's like it's all real. So it's like not too hard maybe to sustain that personal brand. I think it could be pretty hard to like maintain a pretty an effective personal brand if it didn't actually align with who you were. But I love what I do. I think it's important work. I work really hard.
But you need to be in front of the right people. And for you, how do you do that?
Just reach out, create the environments, like go to the events they're at, think about who you want to actually meet with. I was saying, as we were saying offline, that, you know, we've got 300 companies in New Zealand that we want to meet with. They're large.
Like your list.
Yeah,
You're talking about your list.
Yeah, it's a list. And we know who they are. We know what their brands look like. We know who their CEO, their CFO, their head of tax, their head of people. We know all of the participants in the business that we want to get in front of. And we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can have like an account-based approach to how we can get in front of them, create opportunities for us to have a discussion where it's not just like a, you know, hey, look at my shit. But yeah.
How does it look like for you in terms of the reach out and the chatting? Do you feel like you often need to have a first meeting and then a second meeting and then a third meeting? How does it look like for, like, especially people in the startup phase who haven't got to that stage?
For customers or for investors or? For
probably customers, you know, the 300 company list that you were just talking about. Do you have a process? Like a step-by-step process of knowing, okay, we've got them now, we're going to reach out this way and then we're going to speak to them that way and engage in a really authentic way. But like, how do you do that in an authentic way?
Yeah, I think the first thing probably to call out is that, again, we've been doing this for a while and we've only been able to isolate who our ideal customer persona is through the passing of time and actually having customers onboarded to be able to understand what the true value that we're delivering is, because there's a difference in, well, this is something I've learned, there's a difference in the value you think you're giving versus the value that someone's actually receiving. And so before you even get to this 300 comment, using, you know, that old, I don't know, what is it, wives' tale, nursery rhyme, whatever, swallow the fly to swallow the spider to swallow the cat. You've got to work your way up the business, up markets to be able to, you know, again, early adopters, early vast majority at different business sizes and different industries and whatnot. But now, like when we know who we're looking to get in front of, we have a heavily event-based focus. So first and foremost, we create an event, like we've got one next week where John Key's going to be speaking. That's interesting and exciting. That's something that people are like, oh, that's something I would want to go along to. We send invitations out to the people that we want to speak to. They RSVP. We've got their email.
Right.
Once we've got their email, we can then supply them with like nurturing content, which is relevant, hyper relevant to their specific business needs and requirements, from only knowing what those business needs and requirements are from referencing customers that we already have in specific industries. You know,
all your emails are very different to each person, are you saying?
Yeah, it's account-based marketing. It's we're not trying to spray and pray. We're like very specific. And then, you know, you might make the direct outreach via LinkedIn or email, or I've probably seen them personally at an event. So the relationship is somewhat already there, and then you can advance it.
So you have someone well-known, bring them into an event, speak about it.
Or you create an environment that's something that I would want to participate in. Yep. It's just like old school approaches, right? Like
seminar, right?
Yeah. Or like you invite someone to, like, if someone likes golf and you invite them to play golf, like you've got 4 hours of time with this person.
Right.
And if it's a cool, hypothetically, if it's a cool golf course, they're probably going to want to play there. So you've created an opportunity or an environment for that person to do something that's an experience that they otherwise wouldn't have done. They're going to want to do it. I don't know, maybe. So
you want, like, there's all sorts of different things that people do these days, having like going into like a little cafe and bringing someone famous or well-known and speaking, or doing an activity. Do you think? Yeah,
activities, just anything that gives you some time with the person that's like interesting and relevant. You know, you even think about like doing podcasts, like you're able to reach out to people and get them onto a show and have a conversation that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to have, because it's a different experience that gets the person interested and engaged.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how else can you get Sam Stubbs on the chair here and have him cry on the podcast?
Totally. Yeah.
It's a proud moment. And I think the reason why we have this conversation is just to inspire the next generation and to inspire this generation now, and also inspire people who are struggling to understand or meander their way through business. So these were really cool things that you were discussing about having an event and doing all sorts of things.
It's probably also super important to just be like tolerant of lots of discomfort, because I think in any instance, the common denominator across startup stories, whether they be successful or unsuccessful, is that there was lots of really, really hard periods. If not more hard than not hard.
Especially if you're running on your own. Like you were talking about, like you were the one only founder, you've got other people on your team, they're not necessarily your events managers. And running these events on your own, trying to organize it.
I don't run the events though. I've got like, I'm very, very lucky. My team is in all instances, like, you know, some of these events I literally get a time and a place and a presentation and then I turn up.
Oh, really?
Like they're highly motivated, skilled individuals that do the things that they say they're going to do. But that's culturally what's important to our business is high-performing people.
Is that necessary to a business to be able to get out there as a specific strategy to building a brand when you're first starting out? Not everybody's going to have a team. Not everyone is going to have a nice little, events management team. How can someone who's just starting out by themselves, 22-year-old or 23-year-old, I don't know, who's trying to do what you're trying to do, but on a smaller scale and actually start doing that successfully?
I think it would be, this might be a super unpopular view.
Go for it.
I think it would be really, really, really hard to be 22, starting a business, trying to sell to the types of clients or enterprise clients like we sell to, or B2B SaaS, because of all of the things we've already discussed, where you haven't yet, you know, been around for very long. You know, though there's that saying that no one got fired for buying IBM. Like, what does that saying actually mean? It means that people trust things that are big and been around. So I just think it would be really hard. I actually have a view that I'm really, really grateful for the time that I had in doing the brick and mortar business, because it's a cash flow business and you learn a lot of the fundamental principles of how to run a business. And if it's not making money, it stops. So it's kind of, you know.
In terms of that other first business that you had, are you able to tell us what was, like, you exited that business?
Yeah.
Can you tell us how much for? No. Can you give us an indication?
No. There was it was a share trade with my business partner, and we both like left like happy, and he was able to take that business on.
Okay. So because I don't know, I just found that interesting because it helps to know.
Did I have money going into this business?
Yeah, the amount of capital that you would need to start something, like we're talking about the 22-year-old. I mean, you can be a billionaire in a few years' time as a 22-year-old by yourself, just using AI.
The statistical probability of that outcome is extremely low.
But it's possible.
But it's possible.
It's possible.
Of course, it's possible.
Yeah. Maybe a bit older. But
well, I don't think age is the determining factor. I'm just saying that, like, if you're wanting to build a business, then just start the thing and then, like, you know, bust your way through all of the like no's and work out how to get it closer to a yes. So, I mean, I agree with you. I guess my fundamental view is that, like, experiences are really, really important. And whether it's going into your own business or going to work for another business, there's lots of things that you're going to learn. And the unpopular view that I was going to provide before was, like, if I was like 22, and that's hence why I say that I'm really grateful for my first business experience. If I was 22 and I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what business I wanted to start, honestly, I would go get a job. And I would go and find a job with a business that either gave me like lots of experience and opportunities to meet lots of really, really interesting people, like consulting, or I would go and get a job working for a startup where it was going to be really, really hard, so I could get a first-hand experience or a secondary first-hand experience of what that actually looks like. And then from those learnings, I would either gain network to be able to go and validate future proof points, or I'd gain experience from how to actually do the thing and what the missteps look like. I think now, like, and again, unpopular view, I think now, like, entrepreneurship has been somewhat over glamorized, and lots of people want to start businesses but have no idea what they want to do. They just know that they want money and they know that they want to have control over their own lives, which both is fine. But I think, like, if we just kind of like go back to the fundamentals of, like, for a business to work really, really long term, it's probably got to be something you're passionate about, because it's going to be really hard, and there's going to be lots of days that you wake up and are like, this is hard. And it's got to like be something that you can, attach yourself to. So
something that fascinated me, and I'm not too sure why it has fascinated me, is that when I was reading about your work, you had few specific dates in mind that you were like, these dates I need to have my branding on point, because these dates are really important. Tell me why that is, and what dates they were, and
what dates were they? And
so I have them down here. So
please.
It's March 31st, it's June 30th, and it's January the 1st.
Oh, yeah.
I found it fascinating that you even know the dates. And why is that important? Because
those aren't specific to the brand, right? Those are just dates that are important to our business, because within the context of the customers we're currently selling to, it appears that we have a fiscal buying cycle. So 31 March is the end of the fiscal calendar year, the fiscal year for New Zealand businesses. 30 June is the end of calendar year for most Australian businesses.
Right.
And 1st of July is an end of calendar year that we seem to be seeing across American businesses and also organizations in retail, so they can capture that Christmas spend. So when we think about those dates, the reason that they're important to us is because if organizations are aligning their buying decision to working with us to their calendar year, we need to make sure that we've spoken to them in advance of that calendar year ending, when they're doing their budgeting decisions for the subsequent calendar year. Definitely, that's not rocket science. It's just but it kind of like makes sense. First principles.
Which actually makes me want to ask you, what are some of the things that people need to be thinking about as founders and entrepreneurs still starting out? The key things that they need to be thinking about as they start their business and start their venture.
Well, what are they selling to who? And why does it matter to the person that they're selling to? And does it matter in the ways that they think it matters? Another one of a mentor of mine, talks a lot about heaps of businesses talk about it. So like customer obsession, right? Like just being as close as humanly possible to your customers to make sure that the thing that you're delivering is actually landing in the way that you want it to be landing. Because if it lands properly, then, half of the battle is slightly won, because likelihood of word of mouth referrals will increase. What else would you think about if you were starting a business? I mean, how big is the market? What specific niche are you going after? Who are the participants in the buying journey? Because, D2C versus B2B is different, and B2B is different depending on the size of the business, because, small to medium businesses might have like only one decision maker, and it's the owner operator, versus when you start talking about corporates, there's, I've been in meetings with 24 participants. They all have a say in whether this buying moment will happen or not. We call it the journey of not know for our corporate sale process, because you kind of work through all of these different moments where someone doesn't say no to you, but they don't say yes either. And then eventually, after many, many, many not knows, you get to this moment of having a contract that's signed in front of you, and it's like finally the yes. And then there's this other line that we say that, through that journey of not know, the joy of the yes moment is slowly sucked away. Because you kind of do the deal and you're just straight into operationalizing the opportunity.
It's like a moment. In fact, the dopamine hit or the reward is coming from the process to getting to the no. It's not the no.
We don't.
Is that true for you guys?
Well, the yes, right? The
yes. The journey to the yes.
I love the journey. I love I think it's fun and it's exciting, and where we are now with the big enterprise end of town, you get to learn so many different things about how these different large businesses operate, and their vendor buying processes, their implementation processes. Again, right? Like the company with 10 staff has very, very different needs from the company with 10,000. And the way that like these 10,000 people organizations think around like the communication, the implementation, the security, et cetera, is just it's appropriately wild.
Yeah.
And it's fun to participate and be part of these conversations.
And you have said as a founder, and I quote, I found when I ask for money, people give advice.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ask for advice, people give me money or give you money.
Well, that's what ends up happening, right? Well, there's a bit more to it, and that's not actually my quote. I can't remember who said that first, but that was my lived experience as well. If you go into a conversation, you're like, hey, can I have 100 grand or, in our case, millions, like, it's probably not going to go too well. But if you're, creating space for the other participant to provide their value, because maybe there's actually one other thing to talk about here, which is that when you're starting a business, like raising money, like, how do I word it? Raising money is not the thing that's important in the discussion of raising money. It is important because you need the money, obviously, but it's not the most important thing. What you're picking here when you raise money is a capital partner, which is going to be there and very likely have some level of organizational control and or participation at a governance level that is going to be there with you. And so you have to be very, very careful or aware of what you're actually entering into when you raise money and pick these capital partners. And so I guess like going to that advice point, there's two sides of that comment. Like one is that if you go and asking for advice, you can measure the person on the other side of the table, which may end up being someone that you're contractually connected to for a very long time. While also like, again, money's not the most important thing. If they're a really, really good capital partner, which I'm very lucky, I have many very good capital partners, the money is only like a very small component of their participation. Their participation will pay much more than the amount of money that they put into the business through the connections, through the support, through the mentoring, through the governance.
And do you guys get that kind of
of course
holistic support?
Yeah, of course. Like, and we're very lucky, right? Like Anna Mowbray's got a good position in our business. We've got another guy, Pete Hewlett, who's involved in lots of businesses across New Zealand at an investor level, but participates in our business. Icehouse is a strong participant. Angel Institute of Marlborough, Enterprise Angels, Phase One. There's others that are participating that provide those levels of support and network and unlock doors.
And did it surprise you that one day they're going to be on your side partnering with you guys? Were you ever thinking in the future, I'm going to partner with these people, or did it come as a surprise to you?
Going back to the thing that I said at the start, if you think that you're like gonna build, if the objective at the outset is to go and do something that not many other people have done and achieve a level of scale that most people won't, there's probably a level of productive ignorance around how hard it will be to do all of those things and acquire the relationships that allows you to reach out and attempt and get the outcomes. Like yes is the short answer. When I started, I was like, I'm going to build a multi-billion-dollar company that's across many geographies, and I'm going to work out how to get the most important people to participate, and I want this VC.
Is this what you did?
Yeah. I don't have them yet, but
okay.
Again, it's just like it's.
Did someone
it still shocks you when it happens, though, for sure.
Did someone push you to think like that, or did you have that innately in you to think like that from yourself, like naturally?
I'm not sure. I guess again, like we've touched on it a couple of times. Maybe another way to frame it would be like begin with the end in mind. Like have a view of what you want to achieve.
It's more like the boldness to think big, because a lot of people think really small.
Oh, I agree. I agree they do.
And it's easier to say, think big.
But thinking big is also like that.
It's scary for people, right?
And it's uncomfortable to do. Like that's the other thing is, and not everyone wants the degree of discomfort
Yeah, exactly.
comes with thinking bigger, attempting to do things that are bigger. And, as humans, we're probably biologically designed to avoid discomfort. So there's lots of psychological and biological reasons why people might stick to their cave and then be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are these some of the biggest mistakes that you've made in business?
Heaps.
Let's get real here.
Biggest mistakes I've made. Not spending enough time or being close enough to financial indicators of future risk. In English, spending too much money and not thinking about how it's going to impact future cash flows or the business's position. Entering into contracts with short-term view, only considering the short-term view. Contracting is really, really important and can have serious long-term impacts and effects if not done appropriately. You should spend the money. Spending money on legal is very important. Make sure that that's done properly.
What about one of the best decisions that you've made in business?
The best decision I've made in business?
Or maybe one of...
It's probably just the decision to... Well, there's lots of good decisions that have been made. Or not just me. I'm not the only decision maker, right? I guess probably that's the comment. Surround yourself with people that are able to supplement your decision making and provide you with all of the information that you need to be able to continue doing the thing while also maintaining the best decision is always pick the path that doesn't lead you to dying. That's death is if business death is the worst outcome, right?
Are we talking about real death here?
No, business death.
Oh, the business death.
Yeah, so if you just start with building your business, going back to I guess the original kind of topic of the chat, how do we engage young people to actually get successful outcomes? Just focus on not dying, because time's a really beautiful thing. Time gives you the opportunity to learn, adapt, all the rest of it. So, all the best decisions that I've made have been the decision to avoid a zero outcome, or failure.
Quickly, AI is here and it's disrupting all of us, disrupting our work, our play, and our businesses. You either learn about it and know how to apply, or you get left behind. Simple as that. So my friends at Academy X are running 10-week masterclass called Disruptive Technologies. It is going to teach you how to use AI and tech to shape your future and to walk away with skills that you can use immediately at work. This is so important to stay ahead of the curve, something that we talk about a lot on the show. So why wait? Click the link in the description and sign up. The course begins August 19th. Okay, back to the episode. And if I were to ask what would be the lessons for you that you're really glad that you've learned, maybe top 3 that you wish someone told you earlier on, what would they be?
It's funny, because the top 3 lessons, and I listen to a bunch of podcasts and watch them and read books, and lots of people say the same things.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because there's this other quote I really like, which is, "Show me where I'm going to die, so I never go there," which I take to mean tell me the things that I'm going to do wrong, so I don't do them. And it's the top 3 lessons that I've learned in these books. So, pick your partners or the people that you work with very, very wisely. I've picked the wrong people. I've made mistakes on that. What would be the fiscal one? Always know your numbers. It's the basics, but sometimes you just don't spend all of you let your mind kind of wander away from that task for a little bit too long. And the contracting one is another one, just to second kind of bring it back. You always enter into contracting with everyone, whenever you enter into a contract with all participants, you enter into that contract or that conversation with the best of intentions of everything going right. but contracting is not designed by nature to be there for when everything goes right. The only time anyone ever pulls a contract out is when you're about to have shit hit the fan. And so like making sure that you're contracting with that kind of that concept in mind.
Something that came up to me just now in terms of, I don't know why I want to ask you about speed, how long things take, or not how long things take, but being quick with a decision, being quick with an idea, with a move, with a strategic move. How have you seen that play out in terms of your business? Like I needed to act quickly on that idea because 1, 2, 3, or we needed to take that slow, like speeding up and slowing down in business. Does that play any role for you guys, or not so much?
Oh, I mean, definitely. But again, if you start with the decision-making process of measuring the risks of either making the decision or not making the decision, you'll be able to determine whether it's one that you can make quick or not. I think speed is very, very important and non like critical decisions where again there's no risk of death, because you can always reserve the right to change your mind. And you know, if you watch any of Jeff Bezos's conversations, he talks one line that he talks a lot about is that his job is to make a few really good decisions every day. And then another thing he says is that, you know, he might make this decision one day and then decide that however many days or months or years down the line that it wasn't the right decision, and then changes his decision. So, you know, we have that kind of culture in our business, and we tend to make non-critical decisions very quickly. What would be an example of that? Our public transport initiative. So recently we put forward to get a binding ruling with IRD, or Inland Revenue New Zealand, to make public transport pre-tax for employees. We had the ability to control payments. We saw that there was an opportunity within the current tax legislation. We decided in an afternoon whether we were going to like look at that opportunity productively or not. There was this many hundreds of thousands of people using public transport. We measured the cost, we made the decision, and we implemented. It took 6 months to do everything end to end. Decisions that I've like maybe made too slow is like somewhat again linked to like the rate of burn within our business would be like, or even if I look at the last business, decisions to restructure, because you know like, or to let people go, right, that aren't potentially working out as efficiently as they could. You might not make that decision quickly because you're like, oh, I really want to protect that person. I care about them as an individual, and I care about their like means of living. But in taking too long to make a decision around like letting someone go, especially if it's around like fiscal ability to sustain that cost, by like not letting them go or not making that decision to restructure, you're actually putting every other person's in the business role at risk. And so, you know, we've I've definitely made like decisions too slowly on that front because of that empathy challenge that you kind of are placed in.
It's a little responsibility for other people, right?
Yeah.
So we would like to ask you for one more question. And I'd love to know from you, what do you think entrepreneurs out there need to be watching out for in terms of great ideas and things to be involved in, great businesses to be involved in? If you have if someone wants to be in business, they're like, I don't know where to start. I'm working for somebody, and what some of the cool industries or things that are happening in the world that you might know of that people can be involved with? Or even maybe in your industry, what do you see your industry? Where is it going?
Yeah. I'll answer that question in two parts. I think if I was to look at the businesses that have like gone and done really, really well, the people that tend to start them have like an experiential component to the thing that they're going to go and build. Like if I use myself as the example, I worked in the healthcare sector. I had personal experiences of healthcare that wasn't accessible. I built a healthcare product that tried to make it accessible because of my lived experiences. We then got customers, which then told us that they needed more from the product. So we adapted the product to fulfill their need. like the idea of, for me personally, the idea of like sitting in my room and coming up with a business concept which I have no personal attachment to or understanding of is like really, really hard. And I, like right now, I can't think of a business where that's the way it's played through. I'm sure there are many though.
Is this why you're so passionate about your venture, your idea, like the extraordinary? Like, is this why you get pushed to keep going? Is that backstory that led you to this day today?
Well, yeah, and also because we get to see the level of impact that it has every day. You got hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, going through this platform into the hands of tens of thousands of different individuals supporting hundreds of companies. Like, it's real, it's tangible, it's like the numbers that show that the things that you're doing are having the impacts and effects that you thought that they would and that you wanted them to. And in our business, we literally are putting more money in people's pockets that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
And for you, that's how does that make you feel as a founder?
It's cool. like it's rad. Like it's I'm very, very lucky. I get to wake up and do something that I care about, and I've now been doing it for long enough that it's starting to work at like a level which is appearing to be scalable both locally and internationally. It's I'm very, very fortunate, and I get to go to work and work with a bunch of people that I enjoy spending time with every day and solve really hard problems and meet really cool people. And
Steven, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And an honor. And thank you for sharing your story. And if people want to get in touch with you for find out more, where can they go?
Super active on LinkedIn, or our website's got contact details, and I think that my personal details are relatively easy to find on Google now. So I haven't worked out how to hide them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and all the best to you and to your ventures.
Thanks.